He's the most famous artist who ever lived. His paintings hang in every great museum on earth. They sell for hundreds of millions of dollars. His name means genius, but he said something once about women that he never took back. He said there were only two kinds, goddesses and doormats. And his job, he said, was to turn the goddesses into doormats. Two of the women he loved killed themselves. One lost her mind. His grandson drank poison. This is not a story about art. This is a story about what the art was made of. Paris, 1927. A 17-year-old girl is walking out of a department store. The Galerie Lafayette. She has just finished shopping. She's blonde, athletic, ordinary. She's not famous. She's nobody. Man grabs her arm. He's 45 years old, short, intense. His eyes are very dark and they do not blink. He tells her she has an interesting face. He tells her he would like to paint her. Then he says, "I'm Picasso. You and I are going to do great things together." She has no idea who he is. She has never heard the name. Her name is Marie Teresa Walter. She's a child. He is a married man of 45. Within months, he has begun a secret relationship with her. He hides her from his wife. He paints her again and again, sleeping, soft, golden. Some of the most beautiful paintings of his life are of this teenage girl. She will love him for the rest of her life. She will also, 50 years later, hang herself. But we're getting ahead of the story because Marie Theresa was not the first and she was very far from the last. To understand what happened to her, you have to understand the man who grabbed her arm. And you have to understand what he believed about women. Pablo Picasso was born in Spain in 1881. He could draw like a master before he was a teenager. His father, a painter himself, is said to have handed his son his own brushes and given up painting forever because the boy was already better. By his 20s, he was changing the history of art. By his 40s, he was famous across the world. By his death, he was the most celebrated artist of the modern age. None of that is in question. The genius is real. That is what makes the rest of so hard to look at. Because Picasso had a theory about women. He did not hide it. He repeated it to friends, to lovers, to anyone who would listen. He said women were machines for suffering. He said there were two types of women in the world, goddesses and doormats. And he said that the task of his with every woman it took was to turn the goddesses into a doormat. To take a woman who was whole and proud and full of life and slowly empty her out. He believed this fad is art. Each woman was a phase. He would meet her, desire her, paint her, consume her, and destroy her. And the destruction would push him into the next phase, the next style, the next woman. The women were few. His granddaughter will later write a sentence about him that is hard to forget. She wrote that he needed blood to sign his name. Let us look at the blood. There was Fernand, the first great love from his poor years in Paris. He kept her almost like a prisoner in studio. He was so jealous he did not want her to leave the building. He even preferred her to go without shoes so she could not go outside. There was Olga, a Russian ballet dancer. He married her. She wanted a normal life, dinner, society, a proper home. He grew to hate her for it. When he was finished with her, he did not divorce her. because under French law, she would take half of his work. So he simply left her in misery and kept her legally bound to him until she died. She spent her final years alone, sending him angry and broken letters. He often did not open them. While still married to Olga, he had the secret girl, Marie Theresa, the 17-year-old. He kept them both at once in separate worlds for years. Then came Dora Maar. Dora was not a doormat when he met her. She was a brilliant artist in her own right, a photographer, an intellectual, part of the surrealist movement. She was his equal. Some say she was his match. He set out to break her. The day they met, she was sitting in a cafe, playing a game with a sharp knife between her fingers, stabbing the table between each finger faster and faster. Sometimes she missed, and her hand bled. Picasso asked to keep the blood-stained gloves she had been wearing. He kept them in a display case for the rest of his life. He painted Dora over and over as the weeping woman, crying, twisted in pieces. He later said to him Dora was only a weeping woman. He said he could never paint any other way. He had decided who she was, and he painted her into that box for years. When he was done with her, Dora Maar collapsed. She had a complete breakdown. She was treated with electroshock therapy. She spent the rest of her long life mostly alone, deeply religious, withdrawn from the world. She said one thing that tells the whole story. She said, after Picasso, only God. She did not mean it as praise. Then something happened that had never happened before. A woman left him. Her name was Francese Lo. She was a painter. She was young when she met him. He was more than 40 years older. They were together for about 10 years. They had 2 children, Cloudy and Paloma. But Francese saw the pattern. She watched what had happened to the women before her. She saw Olga, broken and discarded. She saw Marie Theresa waiting in the shadows. She understood that the role of Picasso's woman had only one ending, and she decided she would not wait for it. She left him. She walked out with the children on her own terms. Picasso was stunned. No one walked away from him. He told her she was heading for the dessert. He tried to make sure of it. He used his enormous power in the art world to block her career. He pressured dealers not to show her work. He tried to erase her. It did not work. Françoise Lo became a successful painter anyway. She wrote a book about her years with him, which she tried and failed to ban. She lived to be 101 years old. She died in 2023. She was the only one who got out. She's the proof that escape was possible, which means the others, the ones who did not escape, were simply unlucky. They were caught in something, and most of them never got free. Picasso married one more time late in life. Jacqueline Roque. She was her 20s when they met. He was in his 70s. She called him my lord and son. She lived only for him. She built her entire life around serving him. She protected him in his final years. She controlled who could see him. She cut him off from some of his own children and grandchildren. When Picasso died in 1973, the family was torn apart by it. His grandson, Pablito, was buried from the funeral. Jacqueline would not let him in. Pablito, devastated, drank a bottle of bleach. He died in agony. In the days that followed, he was 24. That was the first death. Marie Theresa The girl from outside the department store was still alive. She had loved Picasso for nearly 50 years. 4 years after his death in 1977, she hanged herself in her garage. She was 68. That was the second death. Jacqueline, the last wife, lived on alone in the house full of his paintings in 1986. She shot herself. That was the third death. My grandson poisoned two women who loved him dead by their own hands. One woman driven into a breakdown on electroshock. One wife left to rot in legal limbo. A teenage girl pulled out of a crowd and kept a secret. His granddaughter Marina, who survived, wrote that she needed blood to sign his name. Now you know what she meant. Here is the hard part. The paintings are still beautiful. That is the thing nobody wants to say out loud. If the art were ugly, this would be easy. We could throw it away and feel good about it. But it is not ugly. It is some of the greatest art ever made by human hands. The portraits of Marie Therese are tender and golden. The weeping portraits of Dora are among the most powerful images of the 20th century. He turned their pain into beauty, and the world has been hanging that beauty on its walls for 100 years, mostly without asking what it cost. So here's the question, the same question that comes back again and again on this channel. What do we do with the art of monsters? Do we take the paintings down? Do we pretend the woman never bled? Do we keep looking and call it genius and say nothing? There is no clean answer. Picasso knew there wasn't. That may be why he said the cruel things out loud. He was not ashamed. He believed the art justified everything. He believed the goddesses were supposed to become doormats because doormats made better paintings. We made him the most famous artist in history. We agreed with him in a way every time we walked past the weeping woman and admired the brushwork instead of asking who she was and why she was crying. Her name was Dora Maar. She was a brilliant woman before he found her, and every one of them had a name. Avevano tutte un nome. They all had a name.